We have a very busy day today. We are finally going to see the pyramids, but first, we are going to the el-Khalili Bazaar.
Let travel surprise you. Let moments excite you. Let me try to guide you along the way. There's a world out there waiting. Sights that need gazing. Food that needs tasting. And laughs in between. Oh, wherever I go. Whatever I see, all that I know is you're coming with me. You won't forget it. You know the best is yet to come. Be it land or sea, trust Tyler Travels TV.
A short trip outside of the downtown tourist area of Cairo shows you the reality of what daily life is like for millions of Cairenes. People hustling around every corner, busy with their day's work. Construction in Cairo has exploded in the last decade, either to the detriment or to the benefit of the country, depending entirely on who you ask. Some of the massive modernization projects include a new administrative capital, contemporary bridges and roadways, and even an area called New Cairo. The first place we're exploring today, however, has withstood the test of time, and it dates back to about the 14th century. We are walking to the Khan el-Khalili market by way of Al-Muiz Street. We start at the Bab el-Fatuha Gate, a rounded medieval fortification built in 1087 to protect the walled Fatimid city of Al-Qahira. It serves as the entrance to Al-Muiz Street. You'll first pass by the Mosque of Al-Hakim, a space that has had a myriad of purposes through time, including as a prison, a stable, a warehouse for Napoleon, and a school. You continue on to the heart of the neighborhood. This is quintessential Old Cairo. Wandering here, you find yourself in a symphony of sights, sounds, textures, and smells. When you close your eyes and imagine walking down a street in Cairo, this is it. Trinkets hang in shop stalls. Feral cats and dogs roam the streets, unfazed by the walkers by. Part cultural neighborhood, part shopping district, part open-air museum. This area was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1979. It was in these streets that Cairo's most celebrated Nobel Prize-winning writer, Naguib Mahfouz, set his Cairo series, the Palace Walk Trilogy. Much has changed since he lived here, but in a broader sense, everything remains much the same as it has for hundreds of years. Hawkers push their goods, minarets dot the landscape, people come and go, carrying on with their daily lives. There is no reality in the world except for change. So said Naguib Mahfouz, and in that way, this neighborhood is one that he would still recognize today.
All right, so we are in the, I knew I would forget the name, Marketplace. Well,
because he talks about it in Palace Walk, which is where Naguib Mahfouz, this is the area from Palace Walk.
Geeking out, you guys.
I read that book right before we got here. He won a Nobel Prize in the 80s. Big deal. Anyway, we're eating at his restaurant today. Not his restaurant, but it's named after him. Okay.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. So yeah, we're walking the Marketplace. We have like an hour or so before lunch, and just doing our best to, you get bombarded. Yeah. But we do actually want to get some things. So there are things we're looking for family, etc.
The streets here are narrow and winding, with vendors pouring out into the alleyways. There are shops everywhere, some selling legitimate sundries to locals, but most are peddling tacky, touristy crap. Scarves, magnets, tchotchkes, statues, t-shirts, shot glasses, lamps, ashtrays, belly dancing outfits, and miscellaneous bric-a-brac fill every square inch of space. Shop owners would first try to speak to us in English, and if we didn't respond, they would try any other host of languages we hear: Spanish, German, and I'm pretty sure one guy speaks to me in Dutch. The shop owners can be a little pushy, but honestly, I kind of feel like part of it is more of a show now because it's what people expect. But honestly, it can be kind of fun. The bartering process, if you think of it like a game, can be kind of fun. And if you don't want something, just say la or no, politely but firmly, and you shouldn't have any issues. As Paul Theroux said, in Cairo, there was a thin line between pestering and hospitality. Indeed, they often amounted to the same thing. We continue on, undaunted, hands in our pockets, and as we meander our way out of the main touristy drag, the pressure lowers. It's easy and a little fun to get temporarily lost here, which is exactly what happened to us. So we're wandering around for about 30-45 minutes, and we kind of got out of the more congested area, and as we got a little bit further away, the pressure from the shopkeepers definitely dropped, and I kind of realized, okay, we're more in a local shopping area. And so we're kind of wandering around, and we're just kind of looking, and then we, at some point, realize we might be lost. And so there was a minaret as soon as we got there that I'm like, okay, that was what I was using for wayfinding. But the problem is, this is known as the land of 1,000 minarets, and so whatever one I was using for wayfinding was not the right one. And so I got us so lost in the back streets of this bazaar. And so we're trying to find our way out. We realize we're in areas where like we are the only people and we are definitely the only tourists. And so I'm kind of loving this. I'm kind of like, this is so cool. We're lost in Cairo. Jessica was not loving it so much, but we finally made it back to like a main drag, and we saw two people that were in our group with Adventures by Disney, and we just thank God we were clinging on to them, and they somehow managed to lead us back to where we were supposed to have lunch. The Naguib Mahfouz coffee shop and restaurant is named after, you guessed it, Naguib Mahfouz, and according to our guide, he frequented this cafe prior to his death in 2006. Originally called simply the Khan el-Khalili restaurant, after winning his 1988 Nobel Prize for Literature, it was renamed in his honor. Along the walls, you'll find pictures and other miscellaneous articles celebrating the Nobel laureate. Our group has rented out the entire back room for lunch. Lunch begins with what you'd expect. Salad with roasted tomatoes and croutons, various dips like tahini, Egyptian flatbread, aish baladi, falafel, kafta, sambusas with halloumi cheese, lentil soup, moussaka, and other various little dips and delights of culinary goodness. All of those seem to be served at pretty much every meal that we have, but on today's menu, we have something that's a little more adventurous.
Okay, so we're at the restaurant right now, and a lot of us are already here. It was so fun. We got some things for family, like little souvenirs, things for Genevieve, and then there's like a white elephant thing they're doing, so we got some things for that. But yeah, we're excited to eat. Supposedly we're supposed to eat pigeon, but I'm not feeling wildly myself stomach-wise today, so I'm like, I don't think I should risk it.
As of yesterday, you were going to have it. You were fully in on having it.
At least try a bite.
Yeah,
it's a delicacy here, apparently.
Yeah, you woke up this morning not feeling well anyway. But they said these are not...
I pretty much just had pretzels and a banana today because all the food, like we had omelets, I was like, I can't stomach any of it today.
They said that the pigeons that they hear, it's not the same flying rats around New York City. They're like raised, they are like, it's like a thing here. Like they have,
yeah, so we'll see.
I'm excited to try it.
Yeah.
Before we each get our little birdies, though, we are given a demonstration on how to eat it by Mustafa.
All right. So we eat pigeon with hands here.
Yep. All right.
Right? You can see.
He's like,
This is a full pigeon. All right. So you have to split it into two halves. That's the rice stuffed in.
Oh, rice and stuff.
All right. Here, you will find the two little parts of meat, brown in color. This like duck meat. right? And the spices with the rice is amazing. Onions and black pepper, and it's really, really beautiful. All right? So how you can eat this part like this?
All right, good job.
All right. The other part is you can just get it like this, I mean.
Oh. Yum, yum.
It's really yummy.
Oh gosh.
Naguib Mahfouz had another great line. He said, "Fear does not prevent death, it prevents life." And I just love that quote. And I feel like in some small way, it is a bit applicable to today's main course.
All right, Tyler's gonna try the pigeon.
We just had a demonstration. What do they say they call it?
me see
Adventures
it.
by Disney, not vacations by Disney. This is the adventure part. So you split it in half. So hot.
You gotta say, because I can't use my knife, but
Stuffed with rice.
it's very good. Is it good? There you go. Yeah?
You know, I'm tempted to say that it tasted like chicken, but honestly, it tasted more like a baked potato stuffed with fragrant rice. It was actually really good. Maybe the Colonel can start serving Kentucky Fried Pigeon. So we're leaving the souk. And remember, we are on a huge motor coach. So I'm assuming that we're going to walk to the main road and board the bus there. No. Our bus driver picks us up in the middle of the bazaar and drives us out of there. To say it's a tight fit is like saying Sandy's pants in Greece were a bit snug. We are passing with inches to spare. If my window opened, I could have tousled someone's hair. People are coming out of their shops trying to help us direct the bus. Somehow, we get out of there, and we are on our way to the main event, the pyramids. The pyramids stand out in the distance from nearly everywhere in Cairo. 3 mountainous points looming on the horizon, growing seemingly organically from the ground, pointing skyward. But nothing prepares you for how utterly massive they are in person. During the day, you'll find hundreds of tourists walking around, taking pictures, riding various animals, taking pictures of themselves riding various animals. But we have a private tour of the Great Pyramid of Giza. When we come back in a bit, all the tourists will be gone, and the place will be ours, alone. Our first stop is the Sphinx.
We're about to go in between the paws of the Sphinx, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. It is so sunny, so hot. So our guide was just telling us this used to be like a harbor over here, and Tyler was just reminding me that this used to be mostly buried in sand, like all the way up to the nose.
So in 1798, when the French with Napoleon arrived, this Sphinx
Tyler,
was
you look like
buried-
Johnny Depp.
I know. It was buried up to, almost to its nose. So literally, they had to excavate all of this. So think about like all the paws and everything. They had no idea what was under it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, we're doing this with Adventures by Disney, as we've said. And we do get, do you want to say it?
Let's say a couple of perks. So you can see over there behind us, there's some people. That's the closest most people can get to the Sphinx. But because we're with Adventures by Disney, we get to go up to the Sphinx, touch
Between the
the Sphinx
paws.
between the paws.
Exclusive. Like they
Only
literally
for
had to
Disney.
unlock the gate for just our group, which is so cool.
That alone is probably worth it. And
Yeah.
there's more.
We have some more exclusive things, yeah.
In a land of mysterious ancient monuments, perhaps none is more enigmatic than the Sphinx. It sits, paws extended, ever watching, a tireless sentinel in front of the pyramid complex. Now, normally, one can't get this close to the Sphinx. Close enough that we could remove a thorn from its paws, but here's the thing. We're here with Adventures by Disney. Adventures by Disney doesn't like being told where they can and can't go, and Adventures by Disney doesn't like lines, and Adventures by Disney doesn't like crowds. So while most people are stuck 100 feet away, relegated to their fenced-off, far-away selfie stands, with the mighty power of the mouse, we not only get to go down to the Sphinx, we get to walk all the way around it. I try and pretend I'm here alone. I walk slowly, taking in deep breaths, attempting to comprehend the scope of time, but I come up short. To feel the artistry that was carved and chiseled by a sculptor nearly 5,000 years ago is exhilarating. This is the type of place that no matter how hard you try, your mind can't comprehend or appreciate it enough. It's hard to describe the feeling. It is at once comforting and terrifying how long it's been here. The entire complex sits, a metaphorical kick in the face to the passage of time. It's oddly calming.
Okay, our camera's, like, my phone is definitely overheating. This has been so amazing. We got some really cute pics thanks to some help of others, but it just doesn't feel real, you guys. It's like all the books. They've given us a lot of time to, like, get pictures and stuff, which has been nice, and everyone's been taking each other's pictures and doing different spots, which is fun because when you come to a spot like this, you want to, like, I'm sitting and trying to just soak it in now. But you also want really good photos because you're like, I don't know that I'm ever going to come back here again in my lifetime. And this is such an exciting place and such an exciting trip. So getting nice photos, I think, is a piece of that. I feel like some people make fun of people for, like, taking time to get good photos. I'm like, I feel like it's kind of important. These are your memories and you want, I don't know. So this has been really nice. I know we're just about to move on here in a few minutes to go over to, I think, like a lookout, and then finally to the Great Pyramid. It's going to be very exciting because we get to go inside. They always have all kinds of snacks and water on the bus. Okay, I know Tyler hasn't really vlogged this because he's been very hard at work. But this is so cool. So we're on, like, this lookout where you can get photos and everyone's just kind of getting cutesy ones. And we're gonna go up to the pyramid here very soon. And the other thing we were talking about that is, like, exclusive Adventures by Disney is we have, what is it, Tyler, after hours entrance into the Great Pyramid? Is it after hours entrance into the Great Pyramid? Yeah, we'll be the only ones there, which is gonna be so cool. So yeah, and it's finally starting to cool down just a bit, which is great. We all got back on the motor coach and, like, downed water and Gatorade and stuff. There's a camel.
If you can block out the throngs of tourists, the con men trying to sell you camel rides, and the motor coach buses driving noisily all around you, you can almost hear it. The distinct clang of tools, the murmurs of the workers, all working in tandem towards a monumental, unimaginable goal. An appeasement to the gods that no one prays to anymore. An extraordinary, unfathomable undertaking simply to house the tomb of one man. Now, it's all well and good to see them from the outside, but we are here to take a private tour inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Pyramid of Khufu. You know the pyramids. You've seen them in textbooks, in movies, and pre-framed photos at TJ Maxx. But what those photos don't get across is the feeling you get when you're standing in their shadow. The weight of feeling utterly inconsequential. The way the heat of the desert presses down on your skin, oppressive and unrelenting. The way the warm wind whips across your face, the same wind that has worn down the pyramids for the last 40 centuries. It is, more than anywhere I've been, a humbling experience. Okay, so this is one of my favorite ways to kind of put into context just how old the pyramids are. I'm going to try and draw it out for you here. So, say you're in New York City and you're looking at the Statue of Liberty and you're going by and you're like, wow, this thing has been here for like 130 years. That's so old. Then you go to something like St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, and you're like, wow, this was built in 1626. It makes the Statue of Liberty basically look brand new. Then you go back to something like the Colosseum in Rome, and you're like, wow, this was built in 80 AD, over 1,500 years before that basically brand new building of St. Peter's. So then you go back again to when something like the Odyssey was written, and now you're looking at something like the 7th century BC, so like another 700 years or so back. Now, imagine that the Great Pyramid was built 2,000 years before the Odyssey. The Great Pyramid was built and stood there for 1,000 years before King Tut. And then there was yet another 1,000 years before Cleopatra came along. Cleopatra lived closer to the time of cell phones than she did the pyramids being built. If you look at the year 0, more time has passed from the pyramids being built to the year 0 than from the year 0 to now. The mind absolutely reels. The base of the Great Pyramid of Khufu alone covers about 13 acres. It was originally 481 feet tall, but over time it's weathered and had its cap removed, and now stands at about 455 feet tall. For 3,800 years, it was the tallest man-made structure in the world. The pyramids were once encased entirely in a smooth-sided limestone, but over time it was worn away or taken away for use in other projects. A few areas still show what that would have looked like. It's big, like really big, and really, really old. And here I am, a small little morsel of a man here on this earth for a fleeting moment, standing in front of this monument of truly epic proportions. Man, the pyramids really make you think existentially. All right, we're about to go in the pyramid. Couple fun facts: 481 feet tall, 2.3 million blocks, each one weighing more than a ton, close to a ton, if not more. We are about to crawl in.
Oh, and there's a desert doggy.
Desert dog. We're about to climb into the main chamber. You can see there's like the upper one and the lower one. We're going into the lower one, but they said no photos, videos, whatever. And I guess they just recently changed the rules. They don't even allow cell phones in anymore because I'm sure people had them in their pocket.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
yeah, probably.
I guess if you want to go inside yourself, you have to come to Egypt.
There you
And
go.
if you, or there's a ton of documentaries you can watch too. But if you want to go in by yourselves after hours, you got to come with Adventures by Disney.
Aw,
This is
cute.
nuts. When we were here earlier, there was so many people. It was just filled, and now we're the only ones here.
It's so cool.
When the people at Listerine made this Listerine pocket pack of mints, they were there at the factory, and they had no idea that this little pack of mints would someday go inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. Really makes you think. Just as advertised, no one else is here. We are completely alone. Well, as alone as 40 people can be when they're all together. And as a large Cairo sunset hangs in the air, we make our way inside the Great Pyramid of Khufu. So you're no longer allowed to bring in cameras to the Great Pyramid, and then they confiscate your phones as you're going in, so you can't take any photos or videos. So how do I get across what it was like being inside? I have a couple little photos that were given to me that I can kind of show you as I talk, but I could talk about this for an hour. I actually wrote down a huge summation of it, but I'm like, it would take me 20 minutes just to go through it all. So I'll write a blog and go into a lot more detail, but I'll just give you the quick little summation right now. So the first thing to remember is that the pyramid was not made to go in. Remember, it was built as a tomb for the pharaoh Khufu, and once it was sealed up, you were never supposed to go back inside. Obviously that didn't happen. They think basically even the people who built it might have gone in and looted, and obviously all the treasures are gone, and they think it was the people who built it who did that. There's the main entrance, which is the one higher up, and as they laid Khufu to rest and the priests were leaving, they put 3 huge limestone blocks in the way so people could not go back in. You first walk in, and honestly, it feels more like you're like spelunking. It feels like you're going into a cave at first. You're kind of walking through a little bit, and then you get to the first area where there's a little kind of square tunnel going up. Now, again, people back then were much smaller, and it was never made to go in. So this is not necessarily the most tourist-friendly thing in the whole world. So it's a ramp that goes up at a decent degree, and I had to bend over at the waist in order to go up. So it's not very tall, but I mean, it's maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe not even that long, of sort of climbing up. Now, it's real small, you know what I mean? It's only a little bit of room on either side. We're going up one by one. Now, keep in mind, during the day, tourists are coming in and out all the time, and from what I've heard, you can actually be passing people in this little tunnel here. I don't know if that's exactly how it works, but it was already pretty tight, and you know, if you give you a little heebie-jeebies there. And remember, there's no airflow in here. There's no wind. It is stagnant air. It's humid, and you can taste the breath of everyone who's visited for the last 100 years. So you finally get up to the top of that tunnel there, and then you are in the Grand Gallery. And that was the thing I was most excited to see. It's this huge, long gallery, if you will, that again continues to go upward, and it's sort of stacked, and it comes in little by little, and it's an arch going all the way up. And to think about how this was built 2,700 years BCE is just crazy. You can't fit a piece of paper in between these stones. They are so perfectly put together. I mean, even on the outside, they are perfectly fitted to each other. It's wild. So at least in the Grand Gallery, you have some height, and you can kind of, there are stairs on either side, you can kind of go up or down. So we're climbing up the Grand Gallery, and you get to the top, and there's this little area where you have to get on your hands and knees and crawl down a hallway. It's not super duper long, so you have to get on your hands and knees, you crawl down, and then you get to the King's Chamber, which is like right in the center. And it's this pretty massive room with a giant sarcophagus in the middle, and it used to hold untold treasures of King Khufu. There was so much in there, but now it's basically just a big, open, empty stone room, with the exception of the sarcophagus in the middle. Now, what's so cool about this sarcophagus is it is bigger than any of the tunnels or ways to get into the pyramid. Any of the entrances, it wouldn't fit, which means they built up the pyramid, put the sarcophagus there, and then finished the pyramid around it. It's this huge red granite thing. That is so cool to me. So we spend a few minutes up in the King's Chamber and just kind of try and take it in. You can touch the sarcophagus and just kind of be there. It was just such a cool feeling. And people kind of trickle out. They go back down the Grand Gallery. So I'm going down the Grand Gallery, and at the bottom, there's another passageway that leads to the Queen's Chamber. And so basically Mustafa was sitting there. He's like, if you want to go ahead and go back out, you can go ahead and leave. If you want to go to the Queen's Chamber, you can go there now. So I get on my hand. This is the smallest passage by far. You get on your hands and knees and you crawl through this relatively long passageway, and you get to the Queen's Chamber, and it's much smaller than the King's Chamber, which is the one up higher, but it's just as cool. And I was in there, and there's probably only, 3 or 4 other people in there, and they all kind of trickled out. I never thought I'd be able to ever go to Egypt, let alone see the pyramid, let alone go inside. And here I am, inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, in this room, completely by myself. It is silent. And it was just one of the coolest feelings in my entire life. So anyway, finally, reluctantly, I get up and go back down that passageway to get to the front. Jessica's standing there at the entrance kind of waiting for me. And so we walk back out and finally get some fresh air. And I stand there on top of the Great Pyramid for just a few minutes and just look out. We stand atop the Great Pyramid of Giza, looking out over a breathtaking red sunset. Sometimes you have things like this built up in your mind, and you just know that when you get there, it's going to be a life-changing experience. And then once you're there, it's a disappointment. This is not one of those times. This was life-changing.
Okay, we did it. We're all so sweaty. It was so worth it, so fun. But look at this sunset.
That is the Cairo sunset I've ever seen. That is the Cairo sunset of my dreams.
It really is. Oh my gosh. And there is Giza over there, just on the other side of the pyramid. We really don't want to leave. Everyone's just like meandering because we're like, oh, it's so cool. Okay, we're at the Marriott and we're going to eat at Mena house here. And this is like absolutely beautiful. It's literally right by the pyramids. We'll show you. It was like a 1-minute drive.
I'll see you. Oh yeah, it's right here. Those would be the pyramids.
Oh, yes, yes. That old chestnut. I mean, wow. So this is where we're going over to eat. So gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
Exploring the last surviving wonder of the ancient world sure makes one peckish. I'm so hungry I could eat a pyramid. Lucky for me, dinner tonight is an all-you-can-eat buffet.
All right, so it was buffet. Food, so much food.
So much. And I would say, honestly, a lot of it was really good.
It was pretty good, but it was like so many options and not everything was labeled, so it was like kind of flying blind and it was fun to try some stuff.
Yeah.
I also was really craving, we're day 3. I'm already craving American food.
Really? Are you?
Well, because my tummy didn't feel good earlier, so I feel like so I got like pasta and it hit the spot, but then I ended up trying some other stuff. But look at these desserts. There were probably, I'm not exaggerating, 40 different desserts over there. I have no idea what any of these are, but they look so, so good.
While we're eating, a Whirling Dervish comes out and does a performance. Now, very basically, the Whirling Dervish is from the Sufi sect of Islam, and their belief is that as they twirl and twirl and twirl, they basically get into a trance, and that gets them closer to Allah. I mean, just watching it is completely mesmerizing. As much as I've loved Cairo, I am really, really excited to start heading south to actually start really delving into ancient Egyptian history. Besides maybe the pyramids, Abu Simbel was the thing I was most excited to see when we were in Egypt. The Great Temple of Ramses II is one of the most striking and awe-inspiring monuments in all of Egypt. Our floating home for the next 3 nights is the brand new motorship Tamar, an elegant river cruise vessel perfect for a leisurely cruise on the Nile.